Mueller,
Here.
White,
Here.
Schrader,
Here.
Kinderman, here, Pohl,
Here.
Bowden,
Here.
Andrews,
Here.
all here.
Thank you. Aaron, proof of giving public meeting notice.
Yep, notices are posted at both schools, sent to the village of Dickeyville, and the City Hall, members of our media on Tuesday, July 18th, 2023.
All right, thank you. Item 3 is the consideration of the consent agenda. Are there any items A through G that you want pulled for further question or discussion? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes, Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
Then we'll move to our administrative report. Staff for special ed, please.
All right. This summer, the administrative team and I have been busy planning for the upcoming school year. Special ed staff and student schedules are being finalized. We're interviewing and filling vacancies and assigning staff to regular and special ed positions. We'll have some recommendations later in the meeting regarding some of those spots. And then we're continuing to work on the Indicator 14 post-high school outcomes that I mentioned last month. And a shout out reminder, the district is continuing to accept applications for teaching assistant vacancies and a driving position. Applications and information is available on the district website.
With the next reports, I've asked Chris and Troy to go through like any of the July stuff, but usually the reports are a little shorter, but also add in any of the changes to their handbook and to the thing. So they're going to talk about all those. You guys have access to those in the action agenda if you want to follow along, but just know that I asked them to go through the major ones. Like if it's a changing a name from this person to that person, like they're not going to cover that, but anything that that is a change that go through.
Okay. First, does anybody have questions for Deb of her report? All right, Troy.
That's
a good intro.
There you go.
Lights flashing, I'm good to go.
That was the music for Chuck to start singing.
Just quickly, summer school finished up. It was a short 3-week summer school, but it was good. And I think it's going to allow us to maybe send out a survey to the parents and kind of see if there's some changes we might want to make with summer school staff and students. Love that 3-week. And obviously 3 weeks is a little short, but just kind of looking into that a little bit. But that finished up. We are finishing up a few projects at the elementary school. Obviously, you see the parking lot. 3 weeks until staff comes, 4 weeks till students come. So we're getting there. I mean, there's some things to get done, but I think the roof and hopefully the parking lot will all be taken care of. And then on an educational side, we did get our ELA curriculum in, which I know teachers are anxious to get a hold of. So we'll probably be having teachers kind of come and kind of go through some of that as well as we get ready for the school year. As for the handbooks, the student parent handbook, not a lot of changes, I think, aren't procedural. We have, I guess the big one was we had to eliminate the traditional grading that we've done because we are now going fully to standard-based grading. So there'll be 2 new paragraphs kind of explaining that a little bit. I'm also planning on putting together a video that we'll put on the website so parents can go onto that website and watch that video as well if they have questions, and of course reach out. So that was a big one. We had to take out failure to do the work will be an F because there'll be no more Fs obviously with standard-based grading. I think really for the student parent handbook, those are the big changes. Most of the big ones being related to our standard-based grading. So any questions on that one at all? If you have looked, I don't know if you've looked through them all, I had a chance, but
Is that going to be K-5?
standard-based?
Yes.
Yes. Yep. And again, it's a work in progress. I mean, we piloted it last year, but I think we got a lot of good responses. And there's some parents who have questions, which is understandable. But I think moving forward, it will allow us to better educate our students. As far as the professional guideline handbook changes go, again, a lot of these are just, for example, we added a breakfast time that wasn't in there. A lot of them are procedural things. The standard-based grading is in there as well. Some movement as far as when meetings were, so that it allowed me the opportunity to attend all those meetings, as opposed to, for example, our curricular meetings were all planned for 7:30 on the same Wednesday in my office. I've been in my office, but we have like five curricular teams. It's not gonna work to have all 5 of those teams in my office. And if they're all happening at the same time, I really can't be at those. So that was a change that I made. I think everything else is pretty well just kind of fixing, little things that I'm looking again. Playground, I'm gonna try something a little bit new with the playground. Always worried about supervision on the playground, so we put in there that we're gonna try to break the playground up into zones this year, and then have people assigned to certain zones, and then they kind of work that zone, so we don't get 4 or 5 people in one area way far away from something that could be taking place. So that was another big one that was added to the guidelines that was more than maybe 1 or 2 sentences. But questions at all? So-
Well, me, of course, I have a question.
Absolutely.
So for next year, you have a really long summer. Do you expect, or will we be prepared for an increase in enrollment of summer school, or will it still be 3 weeks?
That's a good question. I will say this, and Aaron and I talked about putting a survey out to parents. I know teachers and staff who do the summer school really like the 4 weeks. I know we had 5, they've really stressed the 4 weeks. I think if we start going 5 or 6, we'll have a hard time staffing summer school.
So I guess there's probably 2 different questions here really being asked. One is like on a typical summer, what will we want to do? But 2, next year with it being such a long summer, might we do more? So I think there's kind of 2 questions we have to figure out. I know
Or
Megan,
could
you
you
had some
do-
questions about that too.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like 2 sessions, maybe like end of May, beginning of July, just something to put out there.
That will come back here to get approved. But I think Troy is gonna survey the parents and see kind of what the parents like. And we have to take into consideration what staff's willing to do and what we
Right.
can do there. But then we will bring that back to this group. And,
I mean,
next summer
we
it
have
could
been
be.
fairly fortunate to be able to staff, but that's not an easy thing to do as well. I know, and reading around other districts, they've had to pay more to staff their summer schools as well, so a lot of parts going in that. But yeah, we are looking in different ways.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions for Troy, if you're done. All right, Chris?
Okay, I'll do mine kind of in reverse. I will start with the handbook changes, since we're already there. So the first part is in the student handbook for the high school, is going to be some name changes. The first major change that you'll want to know about is we are changing for the academic honesty or cheating policy. Currently, it says that the highest score earned would be a 65%. We're going to change that so that it's averaged with a 0. They get the 0 when they get caught cheating, and then whatever they get, they average the 2 together. So we're specifying that. Dual credit is something that is kind of a work in progress. We're actually having a meeting next week with parents to kick off our first run of dual credit. And so we want to put something in the handbook. I kind of wrote something up, but this might have to change a little bit because we currently do not have a policy for that. I know Mr. Olson's working on getting some language for a policy, and that might we might have to adjust the language in the handbook to mirror that, but.
We figure that somebody that uses Neola or half this district has run into this. I want to see what other schools do as far as policy language, and as far as, I know some schools have the parents pay the whole thing, which would be, this is actually, our kids have a chance to take 10 credits of science for 1 year. And the cost is about $1,050. So some schools pay a little that parents pay a lot, and some schools have parents pay a lot and schools pay a lot. So I want to see what some of the different examples are, but we've got to know that by Tuesday.
Right.
And can I just add that if they take this dual credit science class, it's accepted at
Over 2,500 universities and
Nationwide
colleges.
schools.
10 credits, that's in a lot of schools, that's all your science credits.
And comparably, so it's through UW Oshkosh at $105 a credit. Their current credit rate is $324 a credit. So it's a third of what it would cost to take it at the college. So the next section is just kind of, we're changing lunch and learn to lunch because we don't have lunch and learn. Stratton Bus Company to Davis. And then dress code, we did actually make some changes with the dress code. Where it used to say neat and presentable, we now put appropriate and presentable. We removed a lot of the section that was very specific to, and quite frankly, a lot of female wear. So we've just removed that. It does still have a paragraph in there saying that, we'll make judgments on what is appropriate. So it's not making it lax, but it's making it less specific to gender. We did change a spot there on cell phones where it currently says third offense, and I wanted to make it second offense, not a third offense. Band fee for high school is increasing from $10 to $13. And then along with that, we are adding some fees for some classes. Sculpture and ceramics is $10. Accounting 1 and 2 is going to be $20. Manufacturing techniques 1 and 2 is $30. Welding 2, $30. Wildlife, $15. These are classes that kids currently pay for some of the projects they do, but it could be all over the board. So we want to have a straight up fee that they will just pay, and then they'll be good for the class.
And teachers don't have to collect cash, which
Yep.
is what was happening.
This will be done through Power School.
Okay.
Then we listed the activities. There was a spot in there that talks about the activity fee that students pay, the $50, the $25, the $15. We wanted to list specifically what those activities were, because there was sometimes question, well, I'm in robotics, is that an activity or is it not? Sports was pretty straight across understandable, but we listed all of the sports as well as all of the other things that are considered activities and would be under that. So then that was it for high school. Middle school is very much a lot the same. As far as there was a spot that for cell phones that said that it was off and in their book bag to the end of the day. I've got cell phone lockers for each of the classrooms. And so the students are now going to put their cell phones in those. And so instead of in their book bag, it's going to go into their homeroom cell phone locker until the end of the day. Dress code is going to be exactly the same as the high school. We made the same changes. Again, the same thing with the activities. We've listed specifically what the activities are. And then we also changed the academic honesty and cheating policy to exactly the same. And then there was a spot at the end of that for the presidential award that middle schoolers get was listed in there, but none of the other awards were. So we removed that one rather than adding all of the other ones that we didn't feel that needed to be in there. Professional guidelines, we just made some changes to the class minutes. And then like Troy, I changed when the faculty meetings will be held so that it gives us a little more flexibility. And then the last major thing that we changed was exams. It has listed as a culminating assessment. We included projects into that as well so that teachers could use a project rather than an actual test to assess at the end of a semester. And that's all I have for those. For what was going on, Mr. Hadfield worked with high school students Allie Krieger, Shane Robson, and Victoria Schultz to complete murals on the outside of Weber Meats. If you've driven by there, you've seen the logo and some animals. And then as well as on the inside of the Davis bus lines. If you look on any of our social media, there's actually the pictures of those. Miss Van Scandal's students have been busy now that we're in the season of showing livestock at various fairs. I did go down last week to the Lafayette County Fair and watched our students showing lambs. We had 22 students that were participating in showing of either swine, lambs, dairy, beef, or poultry. Congratulations go out to Karina Pitson, 3rd overall gilt in the swine. Nolan Van Scandal with Grand Champion U. Haley Albert with Best of Show for poultry and 5th overall for market lamb. Hannah Albert on Supreme Poultry Showman and 5th overall on Master Showman. Corey Atten with Reserve Champion White-Faced Market Animal. Peyton Calvert with 4 breed champions and 1 Reserve Junior Champion in the dairy and the Supreme Junior Champion of the Dairy Show. I'd like to welcome Lucy Mern as our new middle school ELA teacher and Miss Andrea DeBush as our new middle school and high school art teacher. All of the asbestos has been removed from the high school shop areas, and the custodial staff is feverishly working to clean the high school and middle school to be ready for the quickly approaching school year. The areas that are completed look amazing, and I thank all of them for all their hard work. Germain Electric has gotten the light poles for the football field back up and are working to get the lights back on. And I wanted to say a huge thank you to Germain Electric for donating the district the cost of replacing these poles. We are beginning to see things happening at the high school with some brickwork happening on the back of the school, and we got large piles of dirt to the south end of our parking lot. The first thing that they're building, excitement. That's all I got.
I
Any
got
questions?
just one question.
Yep.
Where were we with the trap shooting team? Does anybody know?
Chris, do you want to give an update on the trap shooting team?
So we met, we had parents come in, we had a parent meeting last January. Terry Curtis and his wife Becky want to start a trap team. So we met as a group in January as the normal season kicks off in February.
Okay.
We brought in parents because there was some concerns. A lot of current students are shooting in other districts, and the trap team is not a part of the school. It is we basically endorse them. We give them kind of like the bowling team. We allow them to use the Cuba City name, but it's not school sponsored. We don't provide any financial backing. We don't pay the coach. None of that. It's its own thing. They just asked for permission, and so I said, yeah, they could come in and have their meeting here, and I did share that information with parents. The TRAP organization, the federal or national organization, has a rule that says that if a district hosts a team, everybody that lives in that district has to shoot for that team. I assume it's so that they don't have teams recruiting kids for other teams. Well, there were several parents that were concerned because their kids, because we don't have a team, shoot for Shullsburg, Benton, Platteville, Potosi. And if we started up a team in Cuba City, they would all have to then shoot for Cuba City's team. And because of the number of teams, I believe Benton's, that the Isaac Walton has 2 teams already there, so they can't have another team. Our team, Terry found out that Potosi does only have 1 team, Potosi's team, and they would have time for Cuba City to shoot there. So there's some people that are a little bit upset that they might have to travel a little bit further. But right now we have people that live almost down to Potosi traveling all the way to Benton. So it's 6 on one and half a dozen on another. During the meeting, it came out that a lot of these kids that are shooting on other teams had already done fundraising for their organizations, because they kind of start fundraising in the fall, and that helps pay for their shooting. And so we at that meeting decided as a group that we would have a team the following year. That would be starting in February of 24. That way, all of those parents that had their kids fundraise would finish their year out with the team that they were at, and that they would not fundraise this year, and then knowing that they would be coming to Cuba City. And Terry decided that he would look into doing some fundraising of our own so that we could have that for our team.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we're at. I do know that there is a fall section, the spring one, which starts in February, which isn't really spring. That is the one that qualifies students for nationals. The fall one is more of a fun one. It's competitive, but it's not qualifying for anything. So they decided that they might have some kids start shooting here in a few weeks, I guess, for the fall session. However, that's not part of, it's not official yet.
You can see how that would be frustrating for families and parents and students if they've shot with Shullsburg there and they have Shullsburg teammates that they've done that for 3 years, And then their senior year is the year we have to do that. Unfortunately, they don't let us like phase in those kids. Like it would be great if we could say all incoming freshmen are going to shoot for Cuba. But if you're a sophomore, junior, or senior, we'll let you finish out your career with your school. Like that would be the best, right?
Mhm.
The organization doesn't allow us to do that. It's just got to, you just have to rip the Band-Aid off. And so if there are people that are upset by that, it's understandable. That, you know, we would hate to pull a senior away from his teammates and things. And also if you're used to driving 2 miles, now you got to drive 19, that's frustrating too. So we understand some of those things that parents have said. We wish there was a better solution for that. We tried, but there just doesn't seem to be.
And the other thing that we kind of wade into, I mean, it is an inconvenience for a lot of kids that are already shooting. But there were more students that currently are not shooting that would be advantaged by creating this team than it would disadvantage for bringing another over. And they would still have the opportunity to continue shooting. We're not taking that away. It's just a matter of where they're at.
Thank you, Chris.
So you're saying there's no conflict though if they shoot, if a Cuba team competes in any way in the fall?
No.
So those kids that are shooting for Shellsburg or Potosi can still shoot with that
Well,
team in the fall?
If they choose, no, I think as soon as we start a team, they have to come here. But if they choose to fundraise with that team, you know, that would be their choice because we've already told them that we are doing this.
But wasn't the original agreement that we would start in the spring of 24,
Correct.
not in the fall of 23?
I don't know about the fall league enough about it to know whether they would still be able to shoot at theirs or not. I know that once we set things up, that at that point, then they become a team and have to shoot where they're at.
So they've got to have.
I'd have to talk to Terry to find out.
We can look into that. And
Yeah.
if they get one more half year to shoot with their team and just know if you fundraise, you know, you're not going to see that. But then our team starts up and we would officially say it's starting January 1.
Yep.
So if our original
Look into
understanding was
that.
that we would start in the spring of 24, I think we had to start in the spring of 24.
Skip fall.
Skip the fall.
But also, also keep in mind that this is not something that we
Have any
control.
say?
This is
Score.
literally, we're just saying,
It's
yes,
just
you can put Cuba. That's it.
Yeah, we don't have control of
We
this,
don't
right?
control anything. I mean, we wouldn't be able to vote on anything because it's Terry's choice to start a team.
Well, but we could say, no, we're not going to put Cuba City's name on it until the spring of 24, like our original agreement.
Which would leave the fall in limbo. Okay, thank you.
Heather, business report, please.
Yes, we are now completed with the 22-23 fiscal year, and we appear to be on budget. And I say appear to be on budget because invoices are still trickling in. Actually, right before the meeting started, I received an invoice for 22-23, and it wasn't an invoice I was expecting. So there's always a few skeletons in the closet, we'll say. But I will have a better idea of how we ended the 22-23 budget after our audit, so I can provide an update to all board members at the August board meeting. An update on Fund 49, which is our referendum account. In the month of June, we had revenue totaling $120,428.37. Expenses were $120,047, and we ended the month with $130,543.22 in that checking account. In other news, I'm working on fiscal year end tasks, participating in interviews for all of our open positions, and going through the new hire onboarding process. I have submitted the following 22-23 reports to DPI: the pupil transportation report, the school calendar, and the school census. Ashley Blahnik has completed the July and August summer payrolls for teachers. So she basically had to run about 8 payrolls in 2 weeks. So thank you to her for all of her hard work in that area. She has also updated all insurance premiums and contracts amounts for 23-24 fiscal year. And then finally, the district audit is scheduled for the week of August 7th. And I'm working through the document request list. Again, this summer, the district's going to have a separate single audit, and this single audit is due to the district receiving more than $750,000 in federal aid. This is because of ESSER. So once we've used all our ESSER money, we will not have to have a single audit anymore. So, and that's all I have.
So when I usually get a phone call from the auditing company, what month are they doing it? Next
So
month?
they're coming the week of August 7th.
Okay.
And there will be 3 people here for 3 days.
So when you say a single audit, can you
The
describe
single
what
audit is separate. So the single, when they come to do the district audit, they're focusing on payroll, benefits, they're looking at food service, transportation, all of the expenses and revenues, any journal entry, like they're looking at anything and everything. If they ask for something, I have to provide it. Then separate from that audit, then they come and look at just our federal aid, which is all of our food service claims and all of our ESSER claims. So again, they're going to say, okay, show me all of your ESSER claims. What did you book here? Show me any journal entries. They'll ask Janet, let me see all your paperwork and your documentation. Why did you submit a claim in May for X amount of dollars in school breakfast aid? Show me proof that you served this many breakfasts in the month of May. So that single audit will just be focused on food service and ESSER.
Thank you. Is that the same auditor company?
It's the same audit company and same auditor, yes.
All right. Thank
Yep.
you.
Probably the last year we'll have a single audit, because I don't, in the next
Yes.
ESSER runs out, so I don't think we'll have that anymore.
We should not have to do a single audit for 23-24 because we have less than $100,000 of ESSER 3 funding left for 23-24, so we shouldn't have to worry about that next year at this time. So this should be the 3rd and final year, hopefully,
Thank you.
unless they change the rules.
If they want to give us more money, we'll do it now.
Or if they give us more money, yes, I'll go through a single audit if they're going to give us $750,000. It'll be worth it.
Any questions of Heather? Aaron, your report, please.
Yep, I wanted to say the same thing that Chris did. Big thank you to Germain Electric, and donate a lot of the labor and some of the materials for the light bulb projects. We really appreciate that. We had our community mascot and logo meeting last Sunday. That was our second one. They came up with 2 items that they said were non-negotiables. One was keep Cuban in the name. That was one that was talked about the most. We talked about school pride. We talked about being culturally responsive, all those different things. We had 20 people in attendance. 19 of those 20 said we must keep Cuban in the name, and one person said I'd be okay either way, but I understand keeping it. The other one they said that we have to have is we have to find a way to incorporate Cuba City, Dickeyville, and Keeler somehow in our mascot and or logo. So we looked at the submissions. The submissions didn't have any of, they didn't have all those things, but we pulled some ideas from those submissions, and we kind of have a notes page, and the group asked that now that we have these are kind of the things that are important to us. Can we hire a graphic design company to come in and give us a few ideas? Like we say, these are the things that are important to us. Show us some different ideas and what that would look like. Bray, who is doing our design, has a department that does that and is willing to do that for us. So any questions on that? Because I know that can be a hot topic right now in our community.
Apparently, it must have been because you got the pro-Cuban group to show up.
Yep. I was trying to show both sides of what all those things that we have to consider, and it was very And we had people from Keeler and Dickeyville and Cuba City. And the overriding theme was a lot of them, I'm from Cuba City. I am a Cuban because I'm from Cuba City. It doesn't have anything to do with the country. That was the overriding feel. And I am a Cuba City graduate. And if we change that name, I'm not going to feel as much like this is my school. So those were some common responses.
But they understand the other side of it, how it could be viewed as not
That was-
inappropriate,
That
but
was, yeah, that was the most discussed item.
Okay.
We spent the most time on that, for sure.
because I do see, I mean, you see it both ways.
Yep, and I wanted to make sure that they heard that and they saw
course.
that other side. Yes.
And colors, or are we not?
Colors, that was
far
something that we said, we're not changing those because that would
Okay.
be too much money to repaint
yet?
everything.
Maybe I do wrong.
Yep.
I appreciate the convenience of possibly going with Bray, but we've always stressed local in the past too. Are there any local designers we would
Yeah,
consider?
I haven't like signed anything with
Sure.
them yet. I don't know, I don't even know who we would go to for that. I
Right.
asked them because they were in a meeting with me and they said, yes, we do that. But I'm sure there are other, if you
Yeah.
guys have other ideas on graphic designers that do that, let me know. I have no problem putting out a bid.
I guess I'll put in my 3 cents that Stephanie is an interior designer that's works for Bray, that's been totally involved in our building project. And, you know, she's seems to be awesome. So I'm wondering if she could even incorporate, because they're waiting on what this is going to look like, so she can incorporate it in the.
Let me,
Yeah.
if she's just gonna say, yes, we'll do that because we're working for you, then that's a no-brainer. But if they're gonna charge us, then if we have other people that we want to put that out to bid, like, just let me know, because I don't have a problem with that. That would be easy to put a bid
And
out.
I only bring it up because we've stressed time and time
Yeah.
again with this referendum project, especially try to use local talent when we can, especially if we have an alum who's gone into graphic design and would
Right.
be passionate about it. Where Stephanie, I'm confident would do a great job, but if we have to bid it either way, just some
Yeah,
food
good
for
idea.
thought.
I know Stephanie from Bray has really been accenting the yellow or the gold and black in terms of all of her, you know, remodeling and building designs. So including lights that got the yellow band around them, like in the hallways. So
I'm very appreciative of Stephanie, because I'll be upfront with everybody. I'm not the most fashionable or the best graphic,
She, she,
person.
without
So
batting an eye,
very-
basically told me I'm old fashioned and we gotta go moderate.
Yeah, she's done some wonderful things. I'm like, I didn't know I'd like that, but I see it listed. Okay, so that's on the mascot. In referendum news, right now, the elementary roof we had our meeting today, just a couple days away from completion. The parking lot will be, it's funny, they had 2 days, last Wednesday and Thursday, the whole project where they couldn't be up on the roof. And they said they usually count on 1 day a week being up. So 20% of the time, because in the summer it rains. So that the drought that we all experienced was great for the people putting on the roof, not a lot of other people, but they appreciated it. The gutters next week and the sidewalks will be put in and at the elementary school. And we anticipate that being completed a few days before in-service at the elementary. At this point, the project, we're projecting the project as being under budget. A change in the timeline will be that we might be getting the foundations and footings for the gym box done this fall, which would be later September or early October, with hopes of enclosing the gym box before winter. So putting up the walls and the roof. This will allow more work to be done during the winter in there. And this will, there's just a lot to do next May, June, July, and August. And even with that, they're not sure that everything is going to be ready by September 2nd. We've known that, since we started this. There's a lot of work to do there in 4 months. So to prepare for this, they will soon start the parking lot expansion. So right now we're in the library between us and School Street. Right now is green grass that goes all the way down through the cafeteria. That will all be parking lot. And they're going to start that within the next 2 weeks. You'll see the big mounds of dirt down at the south side of the parking lot. That will soon be pushed over, and that's going to be filled. They're going to expand the parking lot towards the baseball field. In the end, we'll have 12 more total parking spots, but if they put the footings in, The gym goes all the way to the edge of the football bleachers. So that's about
On the south,
on the south end.
Holy
That's
cow.
about 2/3 of our parking lot will be gone. This is gonna have a lot of stalls and that expansion will be ready before winter, but it's gonna cause some problems this winter with parking. Everybody has to know they're gonna if you come to school late, you're gonna have to park on the street. If you get to an event or a game late, you're gonna have to park on the street. And it's gonna be a temporary inconvenience this school year, but lead to really good things later. So just wanted to make sure everybody understood that. Let's see, a win update. Within a couple days of our last regular board meeting, the church informed us that they are not going to be ready to rent us the church. So we looked at other alternatives and we did look into the trailer that was discussed. The first estimate we got, and I had never priced a trailer for 13 months, which is the minimum, was $80,000 for the year. I replied, no, I don't want to buy it. I was asking about renting. And then he corrected. He said, yes, it is a lease for 13 months. You're not buying it. So that's opposed to the $4,200 that the church would have cost us. So we're looking at a difference of that would be about we're looking at different options. The $80,000 was extremely expensive. Obviously $75,000 in difference was not great. 4K numbers, our 4K numbers have grown in the last week. And again, for us, if we're already at the top at a high number and we get 4 kids in a week, now we have to look at staffing. And so we started to do that. We got our numbers today. We might be looking at adding another 4K teacher. So if we have a 4K teacher, we would not have 2 aides. We would have 2 teachers at the elementary school and 1 aide. We try to always keep it about 1 adult to every 13 students. And right now we can't do that with our current structure. And instead of adding an aide, we think it's best to take an aide or 2 out of 4K and have a licensed teacher in there. So if we do that, and we're looking at some numbers right now, but we would have to have a special board meeting. My question right now, and this isn't an action because we'd have to have a meeting to do that, but is anyone opposed to that structure?
Hiring another
Either
teacher.
hiring another 4K teacher instead of having 3 aides and 1 teacher. We just think that's a better route for our kids.
so it's the same number of classrooms, or are you talking about?
We spent the better part of our admin meeting today going through the map and trying to figure out where the best places would be for people. So I think we have it. I think, good. So,
But no matter what, we need another teacher. I mean, in my opinion, that's a done deal.
the numbers that we had yesterday made us think, I don't know if having another aide is the answer here. I think we need to have another teacher.
I agree with you.
So I think if there are no oppositions to that, I think we're going to post it and see what we can get. And once that happens, we'll probably have a special meeting to approve the position and hopefully the person, because it's kind of crunch time right now. Any questions on that
Do we
before?
have room for another classroom?
Yeah, we have several open rooms. It's just which is the best one to
Okay.
utilize.
Why does this require a special board meeting? We've added staff in the past.
Anytime that we have a policy that anytime we want to add non-existing positions, so this would be another 4K position, it has to go to the board. And we just had our numbers yesterday and it was quite a bit after I posted. So, and then I'm like, well, let's check on it. So today was the day we kind of thought, I think we need to
So it
go with
didn't
that.
make this agenda.
It didn't make this
August would be
agenda
way
in
too
time.
late.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Aaron, I have a question with the Dickeyville location.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
assu-
13 going out there
Okay,
already.
well, I'm
Yeah.
just assume, I don't want to make any assumptions, just the numbers support, like that's okay. Like the Dickeyville location is
Yep.
okay as far as the numbers that would be there.
Yeah, she's at 13, which is kind of that top number. So we might have to say, okay, well, we'll accept you, but you have to come to Cuba now because I think
Okay.
she's capped
With
Okay.
1 teacher.
with 1 teacher.
And how many aides?
0. Yep. We try to keep it around 113.
I
So
was just
she-
wondering, because like if there's,
Yeah.
40 or 20 of them in
Yeah.
Dickeyville, or
Right.
it sounds
So
like it's
she-
okay right now.
Like that, Country Care generally will have 8 to, I think they've had as many as 11, maybe 12 at different times. But, and she's never had an aide or anything out there. We try to not have people that don't request that position get it. And we we tend to have a lot of people do that. They like the daycare option after school.
Yep.
So we haven't had made any Cuba people made them go over there, but right now I think as of today, she was at 13, which is kind of the top end of
So
that.
then 2 teachers share 1 aide.
Yep.
With the X amount of students.
Yep. And then that puts us at that 1-13 ratio
And if,
with that, but with 2 licensed teachers.
correct, and if more students enroll, then possibly another aide?
Yeah,
or-
I-
I mean, I'm just,
Yeah,
there's a lot of kids
I'll
out
be
there.
honest, like, finding paras right now is
Yeah,
very
right.
challenging. And I'm going to get to that with the state budget here when I sound like a grumpy old man and tell people to get off my yard, but. So that leads me to that's a good transition. So I've spoken with several of you about the disappointing state budget. The headlines will read, "We made a historic investment in schools." I want to let you all know that that has not helped the Cuba City School District. A historic investment was made to private schools in the form of vouchers. While public schools were given $325 more per student, private school vouchers increased $1,000 for grades K-8 and $3,000 for 9-12. Which schools receive these? None of our local schools. This money is not going to St. Rose or HGIC. They're not voucher schools. This is going to Racine, Kenosha, Green Bay, Milwaukee, and Madison, the big 5. Those private schools. That's where the historic investment went. In order to meet CPI over the last 2 years, our state legislators asked us, what would we need in order to meet CPI and provide our staff with something close to CPI? We spent a great deal of time at CISA 3. On average, it was close to $750 per student. We didn't even receive half of that. We were also hoping for special education reimbursement to go from 31.5, which it is right now, up to 40. That's what we were hearing from people in the Capitol. And then in the last minute, that changed. It didn't go to 40. It went from 31.5 to 33.3. For us, that was a difference of about $90,000 in reimbursement. On July 1st, we found out that we're receiving roughly $200,000 less in state aid. And that's largely due to our equalized valuation increasing, which means so our community is now worth more, so our state aid goes down. All these factors go into what we've been calling the public school financial cliff for the past 2 years, because our state legislators decided to supplant dollars with ESSER instead of supplementing those dollars. For those of you who are in education, we're always told, hey, when you get this money, you cannot supplant this. You can't make it take the place of that money. It's meant to supplement or add to the program to make it even better. Our state legislators that continually tell us that we have to supplement, not supplant, did not do that with us. Those federal dollars were intended to supplement what we were doing after a global crisis. And they decided to supplant those funds. So for the last 2 years, we have not gotten any new dollars from the state. Now those funds are no longer around, the majority of it. So if we got 250 the first year, 250 the second year, 250 the third year, that would have meant over 3 years, we got $750 more per student. And that would have allowed us to keep up closer with CPI. We didn't get anything year 1, anything year 2, and then half of what we needed in year 3. These funds are no longer around. The majority of Wisconsin public schools are missing 2 years of additional dollars at a time when we're experiencing historic inflation of costs and goods. Private businesses can pass those consumers on by raising prices. We cannot do that. So I will be done being grumpy old man with the state budget. Any questions?
Well, just a comment. Thank you, Aaron and Heather, for spending an hour of your time last week to meet with me regarding this and the explanation regarding school financing. And they spared me the semester-long course in how the funding actually occurs. They've made it so complicated that basically the Republican legislatures have given property tax relief in the name of school aid and not aid to schools. They claim public schools are failing. So they think the answer is charter schools. Well, as Aaron pointed out, there aren't any charter schools around here. So, basically, all of the school districts that aren't in a metropolitan area are left to fund their school, basically through asking their taxpayers in an operating referendum, will you continue to give us some money so we can keep the school afloat and give employees raises? The sad thing is that, and Southwestern is just one of the 2 schools in CESA 3 that their operating referendum failed. So they don't even get funded at the state average. Since that referendum failed, they actually got penalized. They didn't get any money. Not the 325, they got nothing. So in essence, if there were sort of a sad message, don't vote for a Republican legislator.
Mr. Andrew.
Second, my hope was that Tony Evers, the former DPI dude, would get money for public education. And the sad thing is that he's been unable to do that. And I am historically Republican. Moreover, if we have to run another operating referendum, we're going to be begging our taxpayers to have to come up with the money, because at this point, the money's going to Milwaukee. It's going to the Green Bays and the whoever's. I mean, I went to a meeting at the hospital today, and there's a grant program, and I saw that the Prairie School was funded by an organization to the tune of $500,000 last year. So private schools are out there going to the Don Schrader Foundation saying, we need a little help so we can have, swimming pools and, AstroTurf and whatever else. Would you donate? They're obviously getting some money. And I mean, it's sad. So, I will get off my horse as well. So.
The views expressed by our board president entirely of the Cuba City School District.
Would you like me to zoom
We
in on
have
that?
many wonderful Republican people.
Well, and the one most close wouldn't even bother to answer my email regarding school funding.
I thought I was the grumpy guy. Okay, we'll move. That's everything for my report. Any other questions?
I'm afraid to ask now.
Stay
Okay,
off Gary's lawn.
yeah, okay, real fast, hopefully. The win, so no church, if a trailer doesn't work out, do we have a plan C?
We're gonna have to look at any available spaces in Cuba City.
Okay,
We did find, like, if we can get a trip, I have to look at different places, because I don't know
It's- yeah.
if 80,000 was, if that's like the going rate, or did I
Sure.
just happen to find
Right.
the most expensive person in the area? We found a location, and I worked with Ben and Brad Bierman, because we need to have a power hookup. It has to have an adjacent bathroom, because
Right.
if you get a trailer with a bathroom, now you have to hook in plumbing, which is very different. But we want it to be adjacent to a bathroom,
Right.
water. So right down this hallway, you exit the band room, there's a large area of blacktop, and that area is right by a power junction box, which would be really easy to hook up power. And it's down by the band room, and we're trying to say, is that going to have a lot of noise? But in between where the band plays and that wall are practice rooms. So we think that would be a pretty good buffer. So that's one that we're hoping we can try to work out. Otherwise, we might have to look off-site somewhere else. And we talked today about what might be some areas we might have to call some realtors and say
Right.
what's available.
could the multipurpose room be used in the meantime until it's figured out? Because
That's-
you guys are
that-
4 weeks
That
away.
is an
I
option.
feel like that's,
Yeah, we use that room, but
It's real unfortunate that things went the way they did, because we knew that the church needed repairs, and now something
Yeah.
happened and it's not available.
so continue to drive them until you find
No, because
location.
they're going to stay here because we hired staff
for
for
the-
this
right, for
program.
that position.
So
We will find a
won't-
spot.
We won't drive them, they'll stay here.
Somewhere.
It's just gonna end up, like, if we get that
Somewhere in the
trailer,
city.
it's gonna be costing us $75,000 more than what we were planning.
Last meeting, I was told money is not part of it. It's what the
It's
kids.
not, you're right.
I mean, I know that's a
but
big amount of money, but I'm
It
just,
it is when we had an option.
I know it's a lot, but,
That's what's just.
right, I understand that felt.
So the church is an absolute no-go, or it's just 6 months behind, or what?
I had worked with Calvin, Calvin Hughes, and he needed some repairs in the basement. And I was helping him find someone who would do a small job. And in the meantime, his wife called and said she had been, approached by several people and just wanted to let us know it's not available. So I don't know what that means.
Not available.
Because it's, okay,
Well, it was.
got it. One random thing and I'm done, I promise. So for basketball games and events, this might be silly, but could we use a school bus to pick people up so they don't have to drive here and park in the parking lot that doesn't
Okay.
exist?
Every school that's gone through renovation
You just deal
does
with
the
it.
same thing.
Okay.
So Carrie, our athletic director, would just notify all the other schools, hey, make
Okay.
sure your parents know.
Parking lot.
And
Okay.
when they get up here and see a big gym box, they're gonna understand, they're gonna,
Right.
oh, that wasn't there last time I was here. That's why I'm having to park on the street. But that's fairly common.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm done.
Okay.
Alright.
You didn't ask any financial questions.
I don't. That's not my-
All right.
There are no one signed in for public recognition, so we're gonna skip that to new business. Item A is the date and time for the August board meeting, which is the 16th at 6:30. Is there,
Any recommendations? You gonna have a hard time with the quorum, or are we good with that?
Good.
All right, we can skip A and move right on to B.
all right, approve the district academic standards used for the 23-24 school year?
Yep, every July at the board meeting, we have to approve the academic standards that we're going to use. We know with our curriculum cycle that as the state releases new academic standards, as of right now, these are our standards, but they will change as we adopt new ones throughout the year. But every July we do this.
Okay, if there's no question, would someone move, please?
I'll move to approve the district academic standards used for the 2023-24 school year as presented.
Is there a second?
I will second. Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approve the changes to the elementary student and parent handbooks. Are there any questions regarding what Troy had gone over? Hearing none, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the changes to the CES student and parent handbook as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D is approve changes to the elementary professional guidelines as presented by Troy. Again, if no question, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the changes to the CCES professional guidelines as presented.
I will second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E is approve changes to the middle school student and parent handbook. Again, if there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the changes to the CCMS student and parent handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item F is approve changes to the high school student and parent handbook. Again, if there's no questions, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the changes to the CCHS student and parent handbook as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item G is approve changes to the middle school and high school professional guidelines that Chris went over. Again, would someone move?
I'll move to approve the changes to the middle school, high school professional guidelines as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item H is approve changes to the district handbook.
Yep, so those are gonna be new. The big one here is, and we really had two. So on page 13 of the district handbook, we're changing from 3 personal days to 5. This was a recommendation from the personnel committee where we talked about ways that we can allow some more flexibility for our staff. And that was something that was unanimously approved by the Personnel Committee. And then the second one is we did add foster child to the term of immediate family. Those are the only two changes we have.
Thank
So
you.
They get 5 personal days,
And then 5 sick days, so the total bank is still 10.
and then how do they carry over if not used?
Personal days
Thank
are
you.
part of your sick pay, so personal days, if you don't use them, it's not that, I think everyone's perception is that you lose
Lose them,
them,
right.
but you don't lose them, they carry over as sick days.
Okay.
We have sick days or vacation days, so if you don't use those personal days, they become sick days and just carry over.
Okay. Thank you.
And weren't we also adding the middle school football coaches to the handbook?
So we had 7th and 8th grade football, that's on here, but for the last 2 years, we had someone who donated their time for that, so we put it back in there now because Brad isn't doing that. So now it's just a position. So those are the additions.
Any other questions? I will move to approve the changes to the Yuba City School District Handbook. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item I is approve the final Epic construction contract. There were 4 documents. I looked through them until I went cross-eyed.
Here they all are in final form if everybody wants to take a look at them. But we had our school attorney, not Eileen, somebody who works with contract law at Boardman and Clark. And they worked with Epic probably in the last, I would say the last 6 weeks we've been working on this. Going back and forth, trying to make sure that everything was right, and Epic has been wonderful. They're like, I think this contract benefits the district a little bit more than us, but we think we're gonna do a great job, so we're okay with that.
Are there questions regarding that contract that we're in essence signing? I mean, it's sort of late in the game here per se.
This at least irons everything out as how it gets done. So we've been working in good faith, but now this is how we handle all problems.
And Brad Bierman and Epic
They've been great.
it's been great to work with, so I'm very, very pleased. So if there's no questions, I will move to approve the Epic construction contract as presented. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item J is approve a fuel agreement with Hops Auto Service.
Yep, bids were sent to both Quick Trip and Hops Auto Body as they're both within 1 mile of the bus garage and from school. And we got both of them. They pretty much turned in the exact same bid. One said that you can earn up to 5 cents off per gallon, and one was up to 6 cents off per gallon. And as Megan stated, when things are relatively even, we go with the more local. Quick Trip is a lacrosse business, and the Hops is, from Yuba City. So my recommendation would be to go with Hops Auto Service. I'm sorry, I wrote Hops Auto Body. I see it in the motion, so we'll change that to service. I changed it up above, but not below. Dan told me that last week. Sorry about that. Any questions? That's who Russ Stratton used, so there's no real change. It's just continuing with that service.
If there's no question, would someone make that motion?
I'll move to approve the fuel agreement with Hops Auto Service as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Then we're moving personnel. Approve the middle school football coach, Tyler Ames.
Yep, this was one that we had ready for the last meeting. I just didn't put it on the agenda, so sorry about that. But we've got both middle school positions filled now.
If there's no question, would somebody make that motion?
I'll move to approve the CCMS head football coach Tyler Ames as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Hinderman, yes. Pohl,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item B is approve Kayla Keller as a paraprofessional.
Yep, one of the professionals that we interviewed, and the interview committee is very happy to have Kayla on board and thinks she'll do a wonderful job.
If there's no questions, would somebody make the motion?
I will move to approve Kayla Keller as a paraprofessional as presented.
I will second it.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item C is approved Lacey Mern as the middle school ELA teacher.
Lucy was one of our interns from last semester, and she worked with Nancy Davies, comes very highly recommended, and we think she's going to do a great job in our middle school. And she has a wonderful accent.
Would somebody make that motion?
I'll move to approve Lucy Mern as CCMS ELA teacher as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item D is approved Tanner Sheeby as the new middle school speed teacher.
Yep, so he'll be working in the special ed department. Tanner comes to us after working in both special ed and as a math interventionist. So he's going to be doing a lot of our math work with our middle school students. The name sounds familiar. We hired him a while ago as our basketball coach.
You said, oh, math.
If there's no questions, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve Tanner Sheedy as the new CCMS speed teacher as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item E is approved Robert Bendorf as the elementary speed teacher.
Yep, so he was actually a long-term sub for us at the elementary school and did a wonderful job, and a lot of staff really are happy about having him back. He has been in the Lancaster Special Ed Department for the last 3 years.
Would somebody move?
I'll move to approve Robert Bendorf as the new CCES SPED teacher as presented.
I will second. Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Item F, approved Andrea
DeBush.
DeBush, slightly French or?
Yep.
As middle school, high school art teacher.
Yep, this interview was last week and called and offered her the job, and she asked for some time to think about it, and she took about 45 minutes, and she said yes. We're happy to have Andrea on board.
Is somebody like to make that motion?
I'll move to approve Andrea DeBush as our new CCMS HS art teacher as presented.
I'll second it.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Yes.
Motion carried.
G is approved Justin Bolanek as a paraprofessional.
Yep, Justin's worked as a sub for us for a couple of years, so glad to have him on board.
Would somebody make that motion?
I'll move to approve Justin Blonick as paraprofessional as presented.
So somebody want a second?
I will second. Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews.
Item H is approved.
Andrews, you got it.
You guys
Oh,
say
I'm
yes.
sorry, yes. I'm reading ahead here, paying attention. All righty. H is approve an increase in the second shift custodial position. I was doing my scan reading of either the roundup or the shopping news and noticed that Belmont was advertising for a PM custodian and paying a shift differential. So I bugged Aaron and here we are.
We talked about it at the Buildings and Grounds Committee today. A lot of schools are going towards this, and we have had a PM or second shift custodial position open for 4 months. And we hope that this allows that. We also talked about if we don't get something in 2 weeks, we have another step to try to help fill this position because we can't go without a PM custodian.
And it would be
$2.
yeah,
$2
$2 an hour, which is a pretty typical PM shift, pay. And obviously any of the current staff could take that position when it's posted. If there's no question, would somebody move?
I'll move to approve an increase in second shift custodial positions as presented.
I'll second.
Mueller,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Schrader,
Yes.
Kinderman, yes. Poole,
Yes.
Bowden,
Yes.
Andrews,
Yes.
motion carried.
We're down to the committee reports. Anything on budget and finance?
We will meet next Wednesday.
What time?
Did we set it?
I think it was, yeah, Dan said 5:30.
Okay. Building and grounds, Chuck,
We
anything?
met today, you were there, Gary, it was a good meeting, I think we got some good progress.
Talked about the assistant buildings ground position, posting
Yeah,
that job
right.
description.
It's gonna be going out tomorrow.
In essence, replacing Brian.
Yes. We'd still like to thank Jermaine Electric for donating close to $20,000 in the last couple of years to the district for the work they've done. That doesn't happen too often. No, it does
Not
not.
that kind of dollars.
No, I mean, I stopped down today and they're doing an excellent job down there. We're gonna have a contractor down on the other side, so all I gotta do is throw a switch. And the lights on one spot. So hopefully we'd like to do the other side, so we got the same.
And we hope they stay on this year.
That's all I got.
All righty, thank you.
The whole game.
The whole game, not just one half.
Let's save it. and
Have
Don't
some
turn it
friends
on
in
until the sun
Darlington.
goes down.
I have some friends in Darlington who will remind me of that game. We're always in the dark.
Personnel, is there any?
We'll likely have one probably either in August or early September.
Okay.
Our next one.
All righty.
Policy that we'll meet usually in October. They'll come out with will come out with a policy review.
Technology and transportation, anything
I
there?
think we're going to meet in September after about a month of the bus company, and we might actually have the committee meeting at the bus garage.
Is there anything to report on the?
How is their hiring though? Do we know? Are they filling the driver's positions? I know we're.
Well, it sounded, we met with them yesterday. It sounded like they had all the positions filled, and they have a pretty extensive network of sub-drivers, which is going to be very helpful. And the two people that work primarily in the shop area also have their license, so they have two built in. However, I just found out that one of our most requested drivers has not heard from them, so I did send them an email and said, hey, I'm not sure if you know, but you have to contact this person right now.
Yeah.
So, we met with them, and we had probably about an hour meeting. They had some questions. We had some questions. We went through the contract to make sure that every part of the contract was understood. And I thought it was a great meeting. I think Jesse, who does a lot of our bus communication, felt really good after the meeting as well.
Good to hear.
I think they're bringing a lot of new technologies that our families are going to appreciate.
There'll be a site you can check and see where the buses, how far they are from you. Like if your kid's on the bus, they're going to the school. You can see where they are, how close are they to being home. So that's very helpful.
Locate your kid or something like
Yep.
that out.
I'm not sure it was an app. They said a site, so I wasn't, that sounds to me like an app, but maybe it's a website. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I wasn't clear either if it was an app or.
Yeah, they don't have the tablets that are in yet and installed. They've got some things that the buses are all in Wisconsin, but they are all being, was it McFarland? Where did he say? McFarland, they're all being finished and checked and everything. But I'm like, they're not, you're not gonna tell me they're in Canada. No, it's like, no, they're here. They're getting their final inspection.
And they also have a software that they are using that will automatically schedule the routes. And then they're able to look at the routes and make adjustments as needed, but.
And if they have a sub driver, it's programmed in the panel. So it's turn by turn. It'll tell them where to go to pick up kids. So they have a lot of different technology that we think will be helpful for parents and kids and.
You're saying they have enough drivers?
They did not mention that drivers were an issue yesterday. So I'm hoping. I just sent off that email off, so we'll see how they answer.
Okay. Foundation, I don't think there's anything at this point.
No, we meet early August.
2nd. Is that
Just
one
for-
scheduled
just for
for
an
a time then?
Just for an update, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll meet with that group twice a year. The foundation will meet halfway through the year.
And me for CISA 3, I don't even know how to try and Jamie Nutter was hospitalized for 9 days for pneumonia. And he sent out a multi-page update. Most of it was focused on recruiting and the cost of hiring. It was basically, he said it's just getting harder and harder to recruit good candidates, and the cost of employees are drastically increasing. And so at this point, he went through that at length. Then he talked about grants funding and recruitment. And they continue to hire some new people and make some new changes. They are Jamie is the head of all of the CSAs in the state. So he's working closely with the state. He's recruiting reading and literacy coaches, system coaches for E-MLSS, which he didn't say what that is.
That's
Okay.
ORTI.
Okay. Speech and language is extremely hard to find, and itinerant, services like that, OT, PT, etc. He's working overtime finding those. The DPI statewide early childhood director, CISA 3 has been selected to take on this project, and Krista Johnson, a current social and emotional learning coach and ECH consultant for the Eau Claire School District, is been basically the person in charge of that. And CISA 3 is getting a $170,000 contract for employee travel and project expenses. Their vehicle fleet is over 20 vehicles because he's, unlike public schools, he can go out and say, I want to hire Gary, and I'll give you a vehicle and whatever else to travel to do your job or make the pot sweeter. The marketing and registration, basically he talks about all of the different services. I bugged Aaron and Heather about Library 21, and I learned that we do use that, and that it helps reduce the cost of our software programs, and also allowed us to have Admentum for free, which saved a lot of money. So other than that,
Not to belabor the state budget, but the state budget put in a lot of money for CISAs to hire reading coaches. Not that I'm opposed to hiring reading coaches, but where are CISAs hiring all their reading coaches from?
schools.
Yeah.
He explains that in there.
Yeah.
They're stealing them from
Yes.
wherever.
Sounds familiar.
If there's nothing else, I will make the motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Thank you, everybody.
So do we have some things to sign since we have closed?